Welcome back to the Daily Rundown with me, Fiona Fox. I have Madie and Mike Daweson with me this evening, helping us make sense of all the news. Now, Labour and Liberal Democrat MPs have vowed to fight any move to allow new grammar schools in England. The news comes after Theresa May said that she plans to lift the ban on grammar schools being built to boost social mobility. Currently, 163 grammar schools are open in England, with a further 69 in Northern Ireland. The issue is that the Prime Minister wants to overturn a law created by New Labour in 1998 that stated that no new grammar schools could open in England. What do you think of grammar schools in general, before we go anywhere, guys? Guys, ladies and gentlemen,
well,
I don't say guys.
You know, with you two young people, you may not remember, but I mean, when I did my 11 plus, all I knew at the time was that if I passed that, I went to a grammar school. We were, you know, a pretty poor family. I never considered money or who would pay or anything like that. Maybe we don't. I don't know the system, but I remember being gutted that I didn't.
Right.
It might have changed my life, but I failed the 11 plus, and so I went to a standard school, and fine. But you know, don't talk to me about Theresa May. But it kind of seems like she's got a point. If it worked, that you could give people opportunities from any environment to go to a school where they're going to work with people a little bit, you know, a little bit more up there.
Yeah, so you think
that'd be good?
Do you feel like it kind of has worked then previously? That it has given an opportunity to maybe families and kids that might not have had it ordinarily?
Well, maybe. I don't know the system. I don't know whether you pay if you go to a grammar school or not. But
no, I think if you pass your 11 plus, you're in.
Well, what's wrong with that?
Yeah.
You know, I don't understand why so many people seem to be resisting it. And they were saying in the news that should she try and even mention it, they will, you know. But I don't understand what's wrong with that. You know, you get an opportunity, wouldn't you like that to?
Do you know people who went to grammar schools at all?
I do, yeah. And interestingly, I passed my 11 plus, but I didn't want to go to a grammar school.
Oh. Why not, Madie?
Because I am from a working class background in home, and I thought that I would get bullied. And also, as far as I'm aware, the majority of grammar schools around me at the time, at least, they were all same-sex, and I don't think that's very healthy. So I also didn't want that aspect.
And you seem to have had a lot of say. Did you, like your parents, they were happy to listen to you obviously on this, were they?
Yeah, I also wanted to go to this school that was outside my catchment area, but that wasn't doable. And yeah, I've always been like, no, I will do what I want.
Did you go to grammar school?
No.
All right.
I was just smart enough to.
Yeah.
Which is why I do agree with you in the sense that it actually does give an opportunity for people in disadvantaged positions who are bright and therefore capable and can go on to bigger things with the right education, and education is paramount. And I think as people grow older and they haven't had the right education, and when I say the right education, I mean enough or for issues to be explored in detail, then I think that it's important for poorer people to have that opportunity. But I don't think that is the impetus for her doing this. So then that's another side of the coin where we can see it from that perspective. But what are the motives? I think I'd have to look deeper into it.
You're more interested to see what the motives are. That's the second promise that we've heard.
Yeah, because that's kind of what I meant about Theresa May. I thought, this sounds good.
Yeah.
Where are you coming from? There must be an angle here.
Yeah.
But it sounds kind of good.
In general, I think it's a good idea.
Bullying wasn't invented, you see, when I it was only invented, you know, maybe about 5 or 10 years later. So it's just normal school life to get beaten up every morning. So that's weird that you kind of just jacked it out.
Yeah. You decided not to do it.
Got bullied.
That is interesting though, but your thought behind it as well, because there's some thought or some criticism based on this article that say that, you know, maybe this system, the 11 plus system, and it rewards the middle class actually, because by the time you sort of get to that stage, you know, there's some talk that there's a shortfall in education with poorer, more disadvantaged families. So there seems to be kind of quite a lot of contradictions actually throughout it as a system, doesn't there?
What do you mean, the fact that I mean, there's some kind of...
I mean, on the one hand, like obviously, as you said, you know, if you were coming from a poorer family, you pass it, you do really well, you're in. But generally speaking, we do see a shortfall in the education of more disadvantaged kids or family coming from poorer
But it's also
families.
the culture, isn't it? The culture of the
of
school.
course, yeah.
And I remember there was a story about some kids who were taken from kind of poorer areas of London, and they were given these are they bursaries to go to Oxford and Cambridge. And this kid said, you know, I absolutely loved it, Oxford and Cambridge. I made some great friends, and I was from a poor part of London. But he said when I first went, I used to tell him stories about what happened at my school, about people fight and things, you know. And he said they would all gather around. What? And this is what he said. He said they were not from that working class culture. I went to a comprehensive school, and that probably doesn't seem very odd, you know, to most of us. These Oxford and Cambridge guys were like, what, people physically fight in school? And he's going, oh yeah, yes, I've scraps and all that. But he loved it, and he loved being in that culture, and he made great friends.
Well, that's the opportunity. That's actually a really good example of it working really well, because possibly he wouldn't have had that opportunity maybe if he had gone down the ordinary route.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would be interesting. But again, it's another promise it's the second promise that we've sort of covered from Theresa May, isn't it, on this show? You've general, not sort of confident feelings I'm sensing from both of you.
It's a time of promises, isn't it? I mean, you get into power, you haven't been elected, so you say, I'm going to cover all my bases, here are all the things that I'm going to do. And anyone would make those promises. And also I was thinking just now about how even if, you know, you do pass your 11 plus and then you go to grammar school and you have a great education, you probably can't afford university anyway with tuition fees, so what would be the point?
Yeah, absolutely.
On that bombshell. Wow. Thanks very much for that, Madie. Thanks, Mike. This is our last story of the day. The longest rail strike since 1968 has begun. Hundreds of trains have been cancelled across southern England in response to plans to introduce drive-only operations, which the Union of Rail, Marine and Transport Workers says that not only will it put the jobs of train guards in jeopardy, but it will risk passengers' safety by removing onboard guards. Now, the 5-day walkout has angered many commuters, with a Rail Users Association stating that the RMT leadership shows utter contempt to rail users by ruining their daily lives. And I know you've been dying to get onto this one, Mike, haven't you? Because you say you generally love trains. What do you think about this then?
Still got a train set. Operate that on my own.
Choo-choos.
Don't need any help.
No guards?
No guards, nothing.
No guards.
Yeah. It's funny because they're obviously trying to make the train, single operation. That's before they get rid of the final human being and just let a machine do it.
Which is the direction we're heading. We've talked about this in the show, actually. Is that the direction we're heading?
But I mean, it's weird because we just came back from London on the London train, and the guard came around chatting to us, and he said he came to collect the tickets. He was quite a friendly guy, and he said, "Oh, pleasure dealing with you. I've just had someone have a bottle to my throat, and I've had to have them arrested and taken off the train and all this kind of thing."
London to Manchester, was it?
Yeah.
My goodness.
And this was, I think, was on his outgoing journey, and those things happen. But you know, what's that? Who is that guy? What's that guy doing without a guard on the train and stuff like that? And what the railway guys are saying, look, we need a safety guard, you know, a safety trained guy on the train along with a driver. And I don't know, it's a difficult one. It's, you know, you want to protect jobs, but at the same time, it does seem to make sense. Or is that because I'm just used to having a guard on the train?
But then again, I mean, it's safety. Is there call for one more so now, or you know, is it not a system that's kind of worked well enough up until now? Would you not think?
What are you talking about?
With the guard, yeah. Sorry, is there a call? It's a system that's generally worked. You know, you just have the train, we have the ticket inspector or the guard.
Yeah.
But we don't necessarily. Do we need sort of a heavy on the train?
Yeah, I think.
Would you feel more comfortable?
I think that just having a guard who could take whatever shape or form, female, male, old or young, whoever they were, just that person in a uniform who's in a position of authority to kind of calm down any irate behaviour, or like the anecdote that you just told. I think you would feel a lot more safe, and you can't just have one person on the train. I kind of welcome it, especially like as a woman travelling at night, or if the carriage is particularly empty. A, you're not particularly safe, and B, you don't feel it either. So having that extra person, it does help. And I think it's obvious that the strike wouldn't happen unless the people who have these daily experiences of working on trains knew what they were talking about and thought that safety was at risk, you know.
And unless I've made a big mistake in that news story, I think it said they were cancelling 300 odd trains a week, is it?
Yeah.
Due to staff shortage.
Yeah.
So even if you use those trains regularly, there must be kind of, I'm sure there's thousands of trains, but they're constantly cancelling anyway because of staff shortage. So they're obviously understaffed, and now this would solve their problem overnight, won't it? It's just, okay, now everybody can just, you know, I'm sure they'd have to put other measures in place, but we are in a process of constantly pushing away the human element from every kind of service, aren't we?
Yeah.
From going in shops to everything, and so am I just so old that I can't get on board with that and we'll get used to it, or is it just the way, you know, the way of the world and it's cool, you know? But
that was my next question to you, actually, though. How do you feel about that element of it? Just, it was the first point I think that you really brought up there.
Yeah.
And we've talked about it in here a few times. I mean, it does feel like we're edging closer and closer to some kind of Terminator, Skynet sort of world, doesn't it? We've talked about drones doing Amazon deliveries. The Tesco, all the supermarkets, tills have been, you know, we've been serving ourselves for years now. Actually, that's not a new one.
Oh yeah, that's been going on for a while now, hasn't it? And then obviously any kind of system where you have to deal with a phone service. You know, I did one the other week.
So hard to get a person.
I was in the mood for moaning, which is very rare, as you know. But anyway, you know, while I was on the phone listening to a machine, I was able to type my email to complain. Right? So I was listening to the machine going, "You are 10 in the queue," and I was writing, "I've got an idea. Why don't you get someone to answer the phone and get some people? I know you're going to say you're busy." Because they do, don't they? It's a very busy period.
You
so 2 days later, I get a letter from the bank, because it was the bank, saying, "We've credited your account with £15. I'm sure it was a very busy period, and I'm very sorry that happened." And I'm thinking, no, you're always busy because you haven't got enough staff to do the job. So we're dehumanising everything, and it's very hard to get in touch with a person. And it's now weird to do that, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, when you ring someone, a person answers, you're like, whoa.
Well, hopefully we get this one. Well, this is 5 days this is set to run for us, so it'll be interesting to see what the outcome of it is.
Yeah. Thanks
very much, guys. We're going to go for a break. When I come back, we have a very special musical guest, so don't miss that. See you soon.